this last year has been a real challenge. It started with me going to the hospital a lot, and with episodes of a condition in a wheelchair called AD, or autonomic dysreflexia. And I kept going in there. My blood pressure would be over 200, and then I would come, they would give me something to bring my blood pressure down, and but I was going home not really knowing what was going on, wondering what the symptoms were from, and thinking, because I can't feel my body, could be any number of various causes. Doctors did all sorts of tests on me and didn't find anything wrong with me. Found me quite healthy. Everything. They checked me out from head to toe. Couldn't find anything wrong with me. Then, but I kept coming. I kept going in there. It was really touch and go for a while there, because I have a lot of different logistics to take care of in order to maintain my health, including maintaining the payroll for my caregivers, maintaining a staff of caregivers that come in the morning and the evening, and then also maintaining a schedule. And my skin care is important. I have to manage the bowel care, and my bladder is a bit complicated. So there's a bit of things that if you don't maintain one of the variables, you can really impact everything else. So at this time, I was kind of struggling to maintain everything with the blood pressure episodes, and not knowing what it was, and kind of getting having issues with my skin. So that was going on for a while. Then the symptoms changed a little bit, where they started like having these electrical flashes through my body, and I started getting some answers with the diagnosis. They sent me to a nerve specialist, a spinal cord injury center, Dr. Krasikov, and he finally told me, he was the first person that told me that, what you're feeling actually is, part of your body, and it is, you are actually feeling it. It's not in your mind, because people were telling me it was in my mind. And he told me that it was your nervous system kind of waking up and trying to communicate with your brain, and that it wasn't quite getting through, because the channels were a bit blocked. So I was like, oh wow, this could be good. Now I'm trying to take it as a positive. Maybe I'm going to get sensation back, and I'll be able to get some usable function. He didn't seem that optimistic. He was more like, okay, you're just going to have to take medication. I asked him, what was the prognosis? How was I going to deal with it? Just his only suggestion was more gabapentin, more gabapentin. That frightened me. Or another substitute was Lyrica, which is similar to gabapentin, uh, just not covered by MSP, so I'd have to pay for it. And switching from one to another would be like could be a real troublesome experience in itself, because it may not even work, and then getting off of the gabapentin could be dangerous. And I was already going through a number of things, so the thought of trying to switch from one to the other became like very, seemed impossible, really. Meanwhile, social media and all that stuff, it became it was unimportant. I couldn't spend the time to pay attention to it. I wanted to participate more, but just maintaining my health was as much as I needed to do, and as much as I could manage with everything that I had to. So it went on like this, at least for the last year, but definitely for the last year. And but at this point I was starting to, think, okay, I finally have a doctor telling me that this is, real sensations I'm having in my body, and that, like I was feeling these. I would go to the emergency room and I would say I was getting these intense vibrations in my stomach and my groin and my legs, and it was feeling like there was like electrical, like almost like a school of little minnows, electrically charged minnows, like swimming up and down my legs, and they were like filled with liquid, some kind of strange sensations like that, and very odd, like sensations. When I described them to the doctor, he didn't seem to think they were that. He was like, yeah, it fits within the 40 different description. I said, well, it's not exactly pain, because he said, oh yeah, that's nerve pain. And I was like, this is pretty much how the conversation went. Oh yeah, that's nerve pain. I'm like, oh, but it doesn't exactly feel like pain. It's more like, and then he's like, no, yeah, but it fits within the 40 descriptions of nerve that we refer to as nerve pain. Okay, it's nerve pain. And then, what are the treatments? What are the recommend? Oh, well, there's either gabapentin or Lyrica. End of story. That's it. And then gabapentin, what if it doesn't work? What if those two don't work? Well, then you have to manage. You just have to find a way. So, okay, and what's the minimum? Well, you're on a low dose, so you can increase. Really? If I increase and it doesn't work, what happens? Well, we'll try switching you to Lyrica then. And then, so, I was still dealing with these bouts of going to the emergency room, and anyway, I went back home, and the symptoms were increasing. If anything, I was getting more of these. So eventually, it was like permeating my legs, and it was very like difficult to deal with. So I began to, I began to look into different things on the internet. It was hard for me to keep my concentration with these vibrations going so strong all the time. They were in my legs and everywhere, and it did become painful at times. And so the doctor, I was like, finally, I was like, okay, and the AD's episodes were increasing, if anything. So they had me increase. I increased the gabapentin, and increased it up to the maximum dose, pretty much, that they would recommend, and that's what I'm doing now. And actually, no, I'm not there now. I'm about 600 below the maximum dose, so that's not bad. But still, I don't want to be taking any of this stuff, and I still have a lot of pain in my legs. It's difficult for me to go out from my apartment. I haven't been out much. I'm trying to make an effort to come back. I rebuilt everything. I got all my my apartment is very clean and everything looks good. I have good caregivers. I have better ability to take care of myself. I'm in a much stronger position. But my health is my priority, and it's a full-time occupation, given especially what but I don't complain. I have become very prayerful, and I have how should I say it? I was here's where I'll get in. Okay, if you've stayed with me for this long, then I don't know, maybe you'll stay with me for a little while longer. This is the first of these videos that I've made, and I don't even know. I've only gone on for 12 minutes, so it's not that long. I can keep going if you have an attention span, so to keep up with me. Yeah, so I still have a lot of pain in my legs, but I'm not interpreting it that way, and I'm also not, I make a real effort to check myself. Like, I know that I've learned so much from this all, of how strong I am, and also how to overcome things. There's a lot that I don't even know how to address, and that I think I'll begin by saying it stems from the upbringing that I had, or didn't have, you could say. So for those of you who know, this won't necessarily be any news to you. Some of it might be. Get out of the sun because it's getting too hot. And I'm on my porch, by the way. This is my awning. Yesterday was blistering hot. Today is quite nice. We're here in beautiful British Columbia, Vancouver, and the sky is very gorgeous. Let me see if I can show you a view. There's a little middle school in my backyard. Some kids are playing basketball out there. There's the sky. I don't know if you can see it. It's blue skies, white clouds. Very nice view there. I'll just leave it with that with you. And oh shoot! There's a spider on my foot plate. I'm having to skirt my cat my cat's house. I'm going to show you my reflection. Oh, you can't see it. Okay, I made a circle, and you saw my porch. Back where I started. Okay. What I'll say. From the time I was 4 years old, I didn't have any parents. Let's just put it that way. They believed in a Hindu sort of sect, which the teacher had the parents, namely my parents, who were naive, young, impressionable people, college students in upstate New York. He convinced them to marry each other as strangers. Then he convinced them to have children together, and he convinced them to give their children to him. That was a pretty profound set of agreements that he got them to make with themselves and with each other that they really couldn't keep. One was that they were going to marry one another, and 2 was that they were going to have children, and 3 was that they were going to maintain and take care of those children. So because of those faulty agreements that were put onto my life, I went through a lot of things that a child should not be exposed to.